And welcome back to Hot and Cold Podcast. Today is October 21st. Friday, October 21st. Happy Friday, everybody. And a couple days ago, we had a new AP poll come out, the first preseason AP poll of the year. So we've been trying to schedule out a recording for a couple days now, but we finally settled on a Thursday night. And we have a lot of overreacting to do, and I'm very excited to do it. But before we go any farther, Connor, how are we doing today?
Great, man. Busy as ever, but great.
So before I press record, you were telling me about let's a little bit of a break from basketball for 1 second. We've talked about this on the podcast before about how you have coaching prowess in another sport, football. You're the OC
Right.
for the freshman football team at our high school. You did some head coaching the other day, and I heard about it. I enjoyed listening to it, so I want you to tell the listeners a little bit about how good you did as a head coach, because I'm a proud co-host of a podcast right
I mean, we won.
now.
Drafted these teams, and we won. I was just telling Sam a little hiccup I had with an assistant.
You already fired
and
somebody. No, I
fired
really wanted to get
immediately.
into this because if you've listened to this podcast pre Mike Woodson, even during Mike Woodson a little bit, you
Correct.
realize how quick Connor is. I'm the opposite on this sport. I'm like him on different sports, but he's
You're
ready.
like football. You're aligned.
Yeah, football. I'm ready to fire. But I mean, if you were listening to the Archie Miller podcast era,
Oh,
you would realize how
well,
quick
hold
Connor is to
on.
fire.
I was last on the Archie Miller stuff. That's what burned me. That is what has I flipped an
Yeah.
air because I defended Archie.
Well,
And
you
now
kind of went
I
back and forth.
that's that last season I was still like, we can do this. Like, we're good. We can rattle off a couple here. We'll be fine. And I could see and feel the disappointment of Bryson just looking at me like, dude, you're a lost cause. Like, what? No. And but anyway, look, I played a win and we were subbing some guys in and out, and it's fourth down. And one of the coaches was subbing out our best D lineman. I'm like, what are we doing? It's fourth down. We got to have our dudes on the field and get one stop. And I pointed at him. I said, I don't want you here next week. You're fired. I mean,
I'm sorry. I
it's,
just love the idea of firing a fellow.
yeah,
He doesn't have a crazy high up job in the coaching tree, I'd imagine. But I just love the
no,
idea of him getting a chance to kind of show his stuff a little bit, show his defensive prowess because he was a DC, and then getting fired in the middle of a scrimmage. I love that idea a
yeah.
lot. I love it. So okay. I just had to point that out. I hope he listens. I don't know. I don't like you said his name. Didn't really know him. I don't want you to say it on the podcast, but I hope he does listen to this and think about what he did. And
I should tag him. Be like, hey, we, uh,
I mean, that's just what we need. But yeah,
I will
shout out
say,
Cole Woods who may listen to this.
took the L.
Took the L.
Took the L.
UNC fan.
Took the L. Okay, not to get away from any more college basketball, but he's talking about coming to the UNC game. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think he texted you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Unbelievable
he's got a
conversation I had
dilemma.
with him, by the way.
He's got a dilemma because I was like, look, Sam would definitely give you his ticket, but as a college basketball fan, he can't because it's one of the biggest games of the year, and he cannot, as someone who covers the sport, willingly skip the game.
I can't in good faith do that. No,
No.
I can't.
So I was like, he's not going to do it. And these tickets are like, I mean, we've sat in like the row 45 lower level, and any IU fan that's been there, it's not a great seat. You can't even see the big screen in the middle.
Yeah.
Those are like $350 per ticket.
Well, first of all, I want to put this out there because Cole's a good dude, and maybe we can get something with the listeners we have. Anybody has a student ticket that they're trying to sell, let us know. Like he'll pay full price, but I just don't know.
He said he was like willing to pay 150. I was like, dude, if we can't find you a ticket, I would not pay because I was like, you're just gonna be disappointed if they lose.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that would suck. But yeah, I mean, look, I would because I know he cares about this game a lot more than I would in that sense. But I'm a college basketball guy. I go to the school. It's going to be the biggest game of that, probably that week at least, and so I can't really miss that. And I'm gonna be in town. I know we're big on jinxing things, but there maybe something that the hot and cold boys will be a part of. I'm not. That's about as much as I can give away because I'm not gonna jinx it. But I would be very excited if we were able to be a part of that. So that's enough. But I'm just giving a little bit of a preview just in case we are there. Let's get into this top 25. As I mentioned, North Carolina, number 1 overall. We've talked a lot about North Carolina. We've had our opinions on them, and I'm just I'm here with them. So I don't think North Carolina is as good as everybody else thinks. I think they've done okay at trying to replace Brady Manick with Pete Nance, who's going to be okay. He'll be fine. He was fine at Northwestern. He had inflated stats, obviously, on a bad team. I don't think he's nearly as good as Brady Manick, and I think they're definitely going to see a decline in that position. They brought back basically their whole team. All about progression, like we've always talked about. All about progression. Same team that had 10 losses last year, blah, blah, blah. We can spew that whole BS at a different time, but I mean, they're the team you have to rank number 1, right? Like, I get it.
Definitely.
I get it.
Right. I don't think they're the number 1 team, but I understand why they're there.
Like when I give my I think we're going to end up doing a pseudo top 10 or something. When I give that, North Carolina is going to be number 1 because they have to be. Like you're in bad faith if you don't put North Carolina 1. They're the runner up. Bring back the whole team. They finished off the season so hot last year. And, Baycott's coming back, who's going to be a great player. So, I mean, I'll have them 1, but I expect them to drop fairly quickly. Like, fairly quickly.
They're definitely a top 10 team. I think they're probably definitely a top 5 team. But, like, it would not surprise me at some point in the season if they're outside the top 10 for, like, a stretch.
Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they were outside the top 20 for a little bit. Like, that would not surprise me.
It doesn't. I mean, this team is the same team they were last year with less scoring, and they were 20 and 10.
Same team that got worked by Kentucky and Vegas. People forget how bad that North Carolina team was. Before
they were not good.
Play. Yeah,
like people were already questioning the Hubert Davis hire at the time, and it's like, okay, that's probably a little too early. But it's. I don't understand it. We do this with teams every year. We did it with UCLA. It's going to be UNC, and whoever makes the tournament run this upcoming season and returns their entire roster, it's going to happen over and over again. And we fall for it every time. Like UCLA, huge. I mean, not huge disappointment, but they were a pretty big disappointment.
They were a disappointment. They were definitely disappointment.
From being like number 1 to being a 4 seed, I think, and having a pretty easy road and losing.
Yeah.
To North Carolina. So I don't know. It's interesting how this always continues to happen. But again, like right now, they should be number 1.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Do I think that they are the number 1 team? No.
No, yeah, and that's why you have to take these rankings with a grain of salt. And that's what we're gonna do. Like we're gonna try our best to translate this ranking to our listeners as best as possible. But that's what we think about North Carolina. If you've listened to the podcast, you've already known that we thought that way. Let's get to Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a team that I am lower than I've ever been on. So, all right. So, I've been low on Gonzaga. I've had this same issue with Gonzaga being ranked number 1, number 2 overall for the past, 4 or 5 years, it feels like. They're always 1 or 2.
Yeah.
This year, this is the worst team they've had in that stretch. They're good. They're good. Trust me, they're good. And I'm not going to hate on the West Coast Conference. I'm wearing a Pepperdine sweatshirt, everybody. I'm not a hater of West Coast Conference. So, anyways, I had to get that out there. Gonzaga, they have a semi-tough schedule this year. I know the non-conference is a lot better, and they've been doing well at trying to beef those up in the past years. But here's what's going to happen. This team is not as polished as it has been in the past. They don't have that experienced guard. Nimhard's gone. You know, they don't have that guy. Suggs, they don't have the elite guy either. Suggs, he's gone. You're not going to get him. Hunter Salas is obviously, he's been a disappointment since he's gotten on campus. Same with Nolan Hickman. So their starting point guard is going to be Malachi Smith from Chattanooga. If I'm not going to, he's good. But do you trust an elite team like Gonzaga, an elite team, to be that polished night in, night out, to just dominate these teams? Because they don't have a lot of room for error whatsoever. In their conference and everything. They don't have any room for error. So you're running out Malachi Smith, a good scoring guard from Chattanooga. I don't really buy that. I think the backcourt is a major, major issue this year for them. And look, I know Timmy's back.
Really? I think I'm on the other side of this.
Really?
Now again, number 2, maybe a little high, but I mean
they got Timmy. I think their front court's going to be fine.
Julian Strother is good. I mean, he averaged like 12 points last year. I would assume that's going to be like 14, 15 this year. Timmy's obviously, he is who he is. For Efton Reed, I didn't even know he was there, to be honest. Like that kind of slipped through the cracks.
He's a good player. I'm not saying he's a bad. Like he's
fine.
I
don't know if he and Timmy can play together. I could see them like going small with like a Smith, Hickman, Salas, Strother, like the 4 with Timmy at the 5. I mean, that's a pretty good lineup. I don't think they have a lot of depth, which they never do.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see Hickman and Salas, 2 sophomores.
Can
they make that jump?
Yeah.
They have to make the jump. And I think that, both of them kind of got blocked as far as legitimate playing time last year because they just didn't get on the court. And rightfully so. They were good last year and there wasn't really a spot for them. So I don't know. I mean, they're a team that I personally think that they could be really good if Hickman and Salas take a jump because you know what you're getting from Strother. He's probably going to be your second leading scorer. Malachi Smith is another dude that, can put up a lot of points if he has to. Kind of has that veteran leadership. But other than that starting 5, I don't really know what they're getting from anybody else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know how the season's going to end for him, though, because it's how it ends every year for Gonzaga. They're going to drop a few in the non-conference. They're going to, the committee will never win.
Which they should have lost. If you think about this, are they number 2 going into the season if they lose to Memphis?
Probably. Probably. Yeah.
Which they probably are, but Memphis should have won that game.
People forget, like, we don't talk about the refs.
Bad. Terrible.
I don't like to talk about the refs.
On Memphis too. I was so on Memphis too because they were my sleeper team. Mm-hmm. Dangerous. Like I would have liked to see them make a run, but
I wasn't 21 yet, so I didn't have any money on on Memphis. But if I were, I would have had a lot of money on Memphis, and glad I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean they got screwed in that game. Let's go on to Houston. Houston's interesting. We talked about them last episode as well. Great defensive team, great coaching. It's the same team. Like a lot of you're gonna see a trend. These teams don't really change year by year. I know with one and done and everything, but they don't really change. Like they're, how they play and everything. It could be new guys with the same system. Jamal Shedd, Marcus Sasser, Tremont Mark, they're awesome. Their guard play is going to be fantastic this year. You saw it with how well they played in the tournament. They looked elite. They looked like one of the best teams in that tournament. And, they're all coming back. I think monster year from Sasser incoming. People forget he was hurt, and he's coming back, and he started off the year so hot last year. They're going to be good. This is the last year in the AAC. Some teams actually, when they're in a inferior conference, they decide, to move up and go to a better conference, like Houston is with the Big 12. But other teams don't. So it'll be interesting to see how Houston plays in the last year of AAC, last year of being in a bad conference, and how they. I expect them to just absolutely go out and dominate that conference. But
100%. And you got 5-star Jarris. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. Jarris
Jarris
Walker
Walker,
coming in.
can't forget about him. Yeah,
So they've got elite guards.
they have the best backcourt in the country potentially. I think
I agree. I think they probably do. As far as talent combined with experience, it just I don't hate Houston. A part of me is just what could have been with Sampson. Happy for him. Whatever. I think he got screwed. Kind of got blackballed for a little bit there for absolutely no reason at all. I mean, there was a reason, but it shouldn't have been that extensive. So I guess I'm happy for him, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying that they're really good and have been really good for the past 5 years. But I think they are properly ranked. I think they're probably better than Gonzaga. There's an argument they should be the number 1 team.
I agree.
I think I could make an argument for that.
You can't take UNC off the one line. Whatever, just based on
in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks it'll probably be Houston.
You mean after the season starts?
Yeah,
I can see that. No, I can see
if
that.
UNC,
sure.
I don't know who UNC plays. I don't know who they. I'd have to look, and I don't know who Houston plays.
I got you.
I mean, I can see it, especially if Houston. I'm assuming they might be in a preseason tournament type. No, never mind.
They got Oregon and Alabama and UVA, so not terrible.
It could take a little bit longer, but if UNC drops a game, again, if they lose to Indiana on the 30th, they're gonna drop a couple spots. But again, they don't play anybody until then, so I guess it'll probably be more like a month into the season. So
it is crazy. I am showing my hypocrisy a little bit with how much I hate Gonzaga with my love for Houston and how because their schedule's not good. It's not good. They got UVA, Oregon, and Alabama.
Not at all.
And Gonzaga, they're scheduling Kentucky. They're going to Alabama, I believe. Not
Gonzaga plays Alabama. Michigan State in a neutral. They go to Texas. They play Kentucky. They play Baylor, and they're playing Alabama.
Yeah.
So they're playing 3 or 4 top 15 teams.
They also play in the West Coast Conference, though.
Yeah, that's they have to.
They have to play those games. Yeah,
they probably lose 2 of those 3: Michigan State, Texas, and Kentucky. I could see them losing 2 of those 3, and then what?
Yeah.
Do they drop out of the top 10? Do they drop out of the top 5? I don't know.
Because it's a good loss, and then they're just gonna win out. That's what sucks when you rank a team like that so high preseason. They're just not gonna drop out of it. And it's impossible to move teams above them when they're just winning and winning big.
All right, let me ask you this. Michigan State, Texas, Kentucky, Baylor, and Alabama. So 5 games.
Sure.
What's their record in those 5 games?
I think Gonzaga's good, so they probably go 3-2.
Majority of those are at home. Air quotes around that.
Okay.
3 out of the 5 are at home.
No,
one's a neutral.
You're thinking 3 of the 5 are at home for Gonzaga?
Yes, technically. They play Baylor at home.
Uh-huh.
Alabama's at home. Well, that's a...
No, those are neutrals.
That might be a tournament style thing.
I think those are both neutrals, yeah. I think it's
Baylor
the PK
is not.
80.
I think Baylor is... Oh, wait, no, that is... Wow, these might all be neutral.
Yeah. No, there's one home game. There's one home game.
Yeah, home.
It's home. It's at Spokane.
Whatever we want to call that. Yeah, I could see them if they go 3-2 or 2-3 in that stretch. Though there's no, you cannot justify being in the top 5 or the top 10 if you've got undefeated teams still. Like, I
Well,
just don't know how
no,
you
they'll
justify that.
they'll drop. Lowest they'll drop this season. Promise you this is 7. They'll drop to 7 because they're going to lose. All right, they're going to lose to
They
Baylor.
have 3 losses. They have to be below 7.
This is what happens. They win every other game except those two, I guess.
Sure.
Let's say they lose to Kentucky and Baylor. Right now, and I'm saying that because those are the two highest ranked teams they have. I'm not saying that out of bias. Right now, those are two top 5 teams. They're not going to hurt Gonzaga for losing the top 5 teams. It doesn't matter that they don't play anybody else for the rest of the year. The committee is
What if
so
these are
in
like
love with
blowouts?
Gonzaga.
What if they're like blowout losses?
Maybe
Like
we can think about it,
just pure domination.
but same thing with like Kansas last year, for instance. Let's say like it doesn't really matter. Let's say you lose to a good team and get beat pretty bad by a good team. Kansas loses by 30 to Kentucky, for instance.
Yeah.
They're still 1 seed at the end of the year. Let's not forget that. For good reason. They won the tournament. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. They're still 1 seed.
That was only one game though.
And these are going to happen before conference play even happens. Like Kentucky's going to lose.
You could say one game is an anomaly, but if it happens multiple times, then it's like, okay, maybe this team's not for real.
Well, that's what it's going to be. They're going to make, oh, they just lost two non-conference games early in the year by, combined 40. But yeah. They've won.
I'm agreeing with you. They probably won't. They won't drop out of the top 10.
They'll be a 1 seed by the end of the year. No matter what. No matter what.
Yeah.
They're gonna be a 1
probably.
Seed. And I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be banging that. I'm gonna be banging that belt, and it's whatever. Fine. That's just an easy bet to bet against them in the Sweet 16.
They should. I don't know. It's.
I get real worked out about Gonzaga.
They should really join a Power 5, but
they won't. Whatever. They don't have football, so it won't ever happen. Kentucky, we're gonna talk about them a lot this year. So I don't know how. I don't really want to sit too long on Kentucky right now.
Shouldn't be number 4.
I disagree. It's fine. So we won't sit on them for too long because we're gonna be.
Can I just tell you my teams real quick that I have that I think are ahead of them?
Sure.
Baylor, Kansas, Duke.
Why do you think Baylor is better? Why do you think Duke is better?
Creighton.
Oh, come on. Oh, no, you don't, dude. No.
That's it.
Uh-huh. That's crazy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say this though. Again, Kentucky's returning a lot of their core from last year. I think by the I think Ty was kind of out of the loop by the end of it. He was injured, never really got back in the flow of things. I think their core was like Oscar, Severe, and some role guys. Like I'm Keon, I don't think played very well at the end of the year.
No. I think you're right. I think the only two that were actually playing well by the end of the year were Severe and Oscar. It was
just those two dudes.
And and I agree in it. And I think Ty at its best, I think Ty was the most important offensive player on that team because he was so good. But injuries and everything. You're right.
Again, so
took him out.
Just following along here with this narrative that I'm creating.
Everybody buckle up because I've seen one of these before. When he gets so...
It's going to be a stretch.
If you're watching on YouTube...
It's good.
If you're watching on YouTube, just buckle up because he's going to take so many twists and turns and I'm going to have to try and combat it.
I get excited trying to do this because it's fun.
You lose yourself sometimes.
Yeah. But not this time. So again, they... embarrassed themselves last year in the tournament, like embarrassed themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And they're bringing basically, a similar makeup back as far as roster construction. You still got your main, the two quote unquote pillars in Oscar and Severe.
Okay.
they're again they're hoping they get some internal improvement, but again, Casey Wallace, smaller, a really highly rated guard, but he's a freshman.
What's your
They
point
bring
with
in a
that?
shoot.
What's your point with that?
No, just hold on. So they bring in a shooter again. They get Reeves. They bring in another shooter like a Kellen Gray, like same thing. Toppin's supposed to be like Keon, whatever. Not going to bring it. He's not Keon would be all SEC or whatever that was, maybe all American. Again, the way people talk about Jacob Toppin, they think he's going to be an All American.
I think Toppin is actually going to be very good, but okay, keep going.
So same team, basically, the team that just lost to St. Peter's, same coach. We know it's going to be the same system. I mean, if you just slap a name on this team or blind resume based on the facts of lost to St. Peter's, basically the same roster, are they the number 4 team? I don't think so. I don't think so. There are a lot of I don't think they've earned that number 4 spot. I really don't. Like Kansas, how is Kansas not above them? I know they lost Oche, but I don't understand that. Like Kansas should be above them.
Kansas lost their 3 most important pieces last year.
I don't care.
And they didn't really replace them.
Sure they did. They have an incredible.
Uh-oh. Say that again.
You good?
Yeah, go.
Incredible freshman class coming in.
Incredible is a stretch, but keep going.
I think it's top 5 in the country. Maybe top 5 recruiting class.
I mean, there's a lot of guys, but it's not a lot of.
And their freshmen actually usually perform well, unlike Kentucky's. Other than
I might end the stream. Whatever that take was insanity. I might have to end the podcast for good. Like that might be that statement might have been the end of Hot and Cold podcast. That I might not sit down and record another episode. There's no way. I
just had to slip that way. I just had to slip that was the twisting of that. But again, I think there's a fair, not minus the comments that I just made just for fun. I think there's a fair argument that they're in the top 10. I agree. They should be in the top 10. But I'm not on board with them being number 4. They got receiving votes. It looks like to be number 1. Are you kidding me? The team that just lost to St. Peter's is going to be the number 1 team in the country. What are we doing?
Connor. All right. I'm going to give you why they're number 1 because you gave all the negatives. Now it's time for the positives.
Why? There's
not number 1. Not number 1. Not number 1. Sorry, number 4. Sorry.
There's a blatant. It's very obvious. It's the name across the jersey.
No, that's not it. But you can say it. And I'm sure there's some to do with expectations with Cal. He's probably the best coach left in the country now that Coach K is retired. So I think that actually, yeah, you're right. It does play into that. You got Oscar Tshiebwe, National Player of the Year, coming back, first one to come back since Tyler Hansbrough. That's pretty big, I would say. That's pretty huge. No, is that not huge?
There will be some regression.
Is that not huge though? In a preseason poll,
sure,
poll.
I agree. But again, they had him last year. What happened? Like, what are we expecting to change? Poll. Is he gonna? I understand that, but at some point, are we not factoring? We're factoring in last year's results into the poll. Like that is why Gonzaga is high. That's why UNC is that high. That's why Houston is up there because of how well they played last year, and they're returning a lot of people.
Kentucky's ended the year playing was not their worst basketball, but at one point in the country, they were a top 5 team.
In January, when it doesn't matter.
It was getting pretty close, and then their best offensive player got hurt.
And now he's gone. And they didn't replace him.
They did.
Jason Wallace is not the offensive player that Ty Washington is.
Oh, he's a great defensive player. He can beat guys off the dribble. He's way more athletic than
guy. He's a defensive player.
Ty, way more athletic than Ty. All right? So there's one. I'm not saying that's the only way they replaced him. Antonio Reeves can actually beat guys off the dribble.
Oh God!
Now you're bringing in a guy who's a 20-point per game scorer, 40%.
We did this with Kellen Grady last year, man. I just
it's fine.
We did, was I right? Was I not right?
Um,
No showed. He
yeah,
no showed.
he disappeared in some games. I completely grant you that, and that's because they only had one shooter on the roster.
Who do they have?
C.J. Frederick.
Oh my god. The dude gets hurt.
What?
The dude
He
again,
does
you're
get hurt a
relying on a
ton. He
guy
does.
that
He
gets
does. He
hurt
does. He
every
does. He
single
does.
year. He
You're
will
right.
be
No, you're right.
injured
You're
at
right.
some
You're right.
point this season.
No, I think there's obviously the main issue is shooting, and if the guys don't have if they don't have that, then that's detrimental. But you're expecting internal improvement from Jacob Toppin, who's really looked good. His jump shots looked much improved over the summer. I'm saying why I think this team's going to be better now. Now it's not just AP guys. I'm saying why I do.
Look, I would be much higher on Kentucky if they had a stretch four.
If Jacob
And
Toppin is a stretch
if
four,
Toppin
how high are you?
somehow
Okay,
becomes a stretch four, that changes everything.
let's
But
say
right now they
Toppin
have
shoots 35% from three this year, making at least one a game. At least. That's a lot in college basketball.
that changes things a little bit.
Okay.
But again,
What
they
is your
basically
ceiling then?
okay. Here's my thing. In the tournament, like that'll definitely win. This team is going to win regular season games, 100%. Could easily get the one seed, but in the tournament, I'm sagging off Severe. I'm sagging off Toppin. I'm sagging off a Big O. So like, I'm just packing it in. Like that's what St. Peter's did. They're just packing it in. I'm going to let them shoot. They're going to shoot themselves out of the game. And that's my problem. And if you're relying on a CJ Frederick who is coming off major injuries, like it seems risky to me. And you're relying on, I mean, the shooters you're relying on is CJ Frederick, who I think had some inflated numbers shooting wise because he got wide open shots because of Luka Garza.
Oh, it's almost
So,
like he has a National Player of the Year as his center too.
but you've got to guard, you've got to help.
That was
at
you see
all
what I'm
times.
saying? But you see what he's in the same situation if it
you
works.
think Luka Garza
He's in the
is
same
the
situation if it works. What do you mean? You said they're packing it in for the National Player of the Year center, right? Am I wrong?
Do you think that Luka Garza gets the same attention that Oscar Tshiebwe does?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No.
Oh my
That's crazy.
gosh. Got her.
Come
what?
on. Come on.
Oh my goodness. This
You're
is
telling me like
we're at a crossroads right now. We usually aren't this argumentative, but this is an argumentative podcast now.
I don't know.
And I was gonna skip over Kentucky.
I'm
This
letting
is
Oscar
crazy.
get his, man. I'm just guarding everybody else because Oscar cannot win me a game.
That
Oscar can't win me the big game.
Verifiably false, but okay.
In the tournament, Oscar's not winning me a game. Like Luka Garza can.
Oh yeah, Luka won a lot of NCAA tournament games. That's right. I forgot about all the NCAA tournament games Luka Garza won. Yeah. I'm an idiot.
Did Oscar win it?
Sorry. How many? I just forgot. I just forgot. Yeah, I'm right off the head. Luka Garza
did
won
Oscar
so
win
many.
any?
He won so many NCAA tournament games. Oh, like that one against USC, in the first round. Oh wait, no, lost. What is your point? What is your point? No. All right, let's move on. That's why
you let them both get what they get
you
there.
You just said that Luka Garza can win you NCAA tournament games, which is just false. It is.
And Oscar can't either. I think Luka Garza absolutely could have.
So your argument
he needed a little bit more talent. Oscar has way more talent around him than Luka Garza did.
Oh, so now Luka can't win you an NCAA tournament game. Now it's because Oscar has a lot of talent.
No, he has a little bit more. Barely. Marginally.
Move on now. This is unbelievable. Whatever. Garza got brought into a conversation.
Number 10 for Kentucky is right. Number 8.
Let's talk about UCLA. Actually, do you want to talk about Duke or do you want to talk about UCLA? Because I'm not going to talk about all these teams.
Duke is criminally underrated.
Okay, let's talk about it. When you talk about Duke, really what you look at is if you think these freshmen are going to be good or not. You look at this class. This class was absolutely ravished by last year. all the guys in the top 2 to 3, you know, they moved on. They went up. They went up a year, and they played last year, or they didn't play at all and just went to the NBA and got drafted in the lottery and are killing me slowly with, the amount of points they put up in their debut. Um, so that's one. So you got to look at you trust Derek Lively, Filipowski, Dariq Whitehead. Do you trust these guys? I'm not saying I don't.
100. Well, no, I don't know about it. I trust Jeremy Roach.
You do.
I
You
think he really,
trust
I
Jeremy
really,
Roach.
really came into his own last year. I think he played really well. I think he's going to improve on that as the quote unquote leader. Yes, I do. I think that Filipowski and Derek Lively are going to be matchup nightmares. Not many teams can roll out 2 7-footers like they will be able to. I'm assuming they're both going to start. You got to realize how gigantic this team is going to be. I mean, they could roll out a lineup of Roach, who's obviously not very tall. He's only 6'2". But if you play Whitehead at the 2, he's 6'7". And then you have Grandison, Filipowski, and Lively. I mean, that's 6'7", 6'10", 7'1", 7'1". I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. And all 1 through 4 are perimeter players. I'm not sure on Lively, to be honest. I don't know if he shoots threes or not. I'm going to doubt it that he does at
He
the
takes
collegiate
them.
level, but maybe he can. So, I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. Filipowski is incredible. Like, I think he is really good. He was a late riser. Like, he's like a point. I don't know. He reminds me of like a Porzingis type of player. That's the easy cop out answer, but
Yeah, everybody
I
that
think
that's tall, lanky can shoot. Porzingis.
good Porzingis, New York Porzingis. How about that? Um, but again, he's just a matchup nightmare. Like I don't know who is going to guard it. Like I don't know. I think they have the potential to be really really good. But again, it's
I'm not hate. I'm not hating on Duke. I think there's a lot of potential in this team. I think they have the potential to be number one. Like that's
I think they should be
obvious.
4 in this.
You think they
But
should
I
be over
understand where
Kentucky?
I think it should be over the 3 teams that are ahead of them. Like I could see Kentucky being at 5, whatever. But I think Duke should be number 4. But it's fine. They've got a lot of newcomers. I understand that they're a little lower right now. I mean, they're not in a terrible spot.
Okay, so you are trusting a first year head coach to develop all of this freshman talent that needs to be developed and is the backbone of your team.
Correct.
Okay. I don't.
It's going to
But
be tough.
I mean that I
It's a
that's
tough,
I'm
tall
not
task.
I'm not like super against that. I just think that is something that I just don't see happening. I don't see John Shire, really getting these guys rallied around him soon enough to be very successful this season. I think they will probably finish second or third in the ACC, probably second. But maybe they turn it around for tournament time. But that's just my opinion. I just don't think I see this team really being that successful, or at least early on in the season. Like I think they might get smacked by Kansas. They might get smacked around in the first game.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's going to be. They remind me a little bit. Again, less experience, obviously, in the coaching department. Um, I don't know how you're going to take this. They remind me of a Kentucky team, and I think you kind of led into. They're going to struggle early, just because when you have that many freshmen that have never played together, like teams they struggle early, especially when you're playing good teams. That's just what happens, especially when you're playing a team like Kansas right off the bat. So, I mean, they could have some losses, but I think once they start playing together and they develop some chemistry, I think they could do anything. They could easily win the championship, I think, this year. But they could also completely be a bust and maybe be like a 4 or 5 seed or something and be awful. Like I don't know. That's the risk you take when you rely on freshmen. Relying on freshmen in college basketball is a very big risk.
It's like a dead game nowadays. Like
It it
it's
it
dead.
is to a certain degree. Like
And,
there's in
yeah,
I don't blame them for doing this. I mean, how are you going to turn away what three top five players, top 10 players? I don't know where the rankings
they're
all
all over.
worked out,
Nobody
but
knows how to. That's my problem. See, nobody knows how to rank this class. Like you see guys at 8. You see guys in that the same guy at like 20 in another ranking. So I don't think
yeah,
this class is all that good with the volatility in the rankings. When you look at that, you're just like, so nobody's really standing ahead of the pack. Like Derek Lively, he was number 1 for forever. I don't know if he ended at number 1. He
I
fell
think he did.
off. I don't think he's that good. I think he might be a little bit overrated in the rankings. You look at Filipowski, nobody knows how to rank Filipowski. You're like, how is he gonna fare against elite talented bigs? And you don't
He's
know.
the one that's I mean, I think he's really good. But like if you're looking at a rankings perspective, it's like,
And I
eh,
don't really care about rankings. I don't want to make that everything. I'm just saying, like, that's really all you can go off of unless you've really paid attention to these guys. You know?
right.
I
Yes,
mean, I,
it'll be interesting. And I do think the first year coach thing is a big thing. Not trying to insult you at all, but getting a new assistant on the staff is going to help them from I think that helps. No, you don't
it's
think? I mean, I think
fine. Like, yeah,
he's a developmental coach. I think that's his role. I think that's why they wanted him there.
I mean, he's a young guy like that. There's a lot of hype going around having a young coaching staff, which there's value in that. But there's also value in having a ton of experience. There's no experience on that staff. I mean, Emil Jefferson is I think he's the second guy off the bench. Emil Jefferson. He was
I
just
thought Jay
playing in
Lucas.
college
I
basketball
thought
like
Jay
5 years
Lucas
ago.
was.
I don't think Jay Lucas even got a promotion. I just think he got hired there in like the same position.
He very well could have. Let me.
I'm not
I
too
think they actually
worried
have
about
him.
the Jay Luke. The more I read into it, I'm not terribly worried because I think he
It's
was.
Chris Carrawell
Where's Emil
is the
Jefferson?
associate. Emil and Jay
Associate head
Lucas
coach.
are in the same position.
That's not necessarily number 2, but
Yeah. I mean, Jay Lucas and Emil are the assistant coaches.
yeah,
Like, I think I don't know who the associate head coach is for Kentucky. Is that
Bruiser Flint. So he's not number 2.
he?
That's
Is
his.
he like
That's
the
his role.
associate head coach or associate to the head
That's
coach?
what.
Like, is this Dwight, like regional man, the assistant to the regional manager situation?
When he first took over that Kentucky, he was associate, and he actually stepped in to be the replacement head coach when Cal got ejected. So I know for a fact that's where he was. He might have. I think he actually did take a step back this season when they brought in KT Turner.
So, like, if I look up their roster right now,
It might
is
be
he going to be
different now,
listed?
because I know KT Turner got brought in, and I know it's Chin, KT, and Orlando are right behind Cal. I know Bruiser's right
No,
by number 2.
Bruiser, associate to the head
This is
coach.
a Dwight Schrute situation.
Orlando is the associate.
Mm-hmm.
Chin and KT Turner are assistants. So, like, yeah, I think like um, Kenya Hunter is the associate head
Gotcha.
coach. Like, I think he got promoted. Um, I'm gonna go fact check
Was that
myself on this right
Fife
now.
before?
No, honestly, maybe it has been. Oh, you know what they did? No, Kenny Hunter already was. They promoted Yazir Rosemond. They have 2 associate head coaches now because they basically just needed a reason to bump up Yazir's pay. Um, Fife, no, I don't. Yikes! I don't think he was, but
Speaking
wow.
of, yeah, some of those assistants, yeah. I mean,
Talk about
we go
talking
at
about
assistants in this show. I don't know why, but we always do. We always do.
well, like man, even we were hearing stuff that was just like
No,
just completely egregious.
people don't
Like
think we have scoop, but we kind of have scoop. Like we kind of are. We see a little bit of the behind the scenes. We knew that was coming.
100%. And honestly, everybody did at some point. Like you could just sit there and watch the game. It's like he's not even involved. Like I'm again not trying to circle back to this at all, but just wow.
Yeah, everything we heard was alleged. Like we're not gonna spill any of it, but
The heel turn that's taking place, like in all the like he's done is like media, like he's
uh,
gone and talked to all these people. It's like, come on, man, what are we doing here?
I can't wait till we have all the scoop though. Then we're gonna be so subliminal and such dickheads when we get on. Dude. All right, couple more teams. Let's spray and pray. I'll pick. How about you pick out the next one, and then we'll go to Indiana. Pick one between Duke and Indiana, and then we'll talk about Indiana. I don't want to.
Let's talk about Texas.
Let's talk about Texas.
I'm curious on your thoughts about them.
Um, I've always had strong opinions, either good or bad, on Texas. Last year it was good preseason. It was
It's
really
hard
good.
not to with the roster construction.
The roster construction is disgusting. First of all, I want to get that off my chest real quick. Tyrese Hunter is good. He had a good ending to the year. I don't know how good though. I don't know if he can really lead a team of the expectations that Texas has. So I'm gonna put that one to the side. Not hate on him yet because I don't have a good enough vision on what his season's gonna be like. Marcus Carr is he's toast. He's been in college for so long. He leaves such a bad taste in my mouth watching him play, dude. He's so inefficient. It's hard to. How do you not like? You have a team last year. Just look at the team from last year. I get it's a Chris Beard team, and I get it. Maybe it's because they're not wearing Texas Tech. Maybe it's because they're playing a Chris Beard style of play in a Texas uniform. Maybe I thought that's why it was so gross. That could be it. Like, that could be it. I just haven't got around to, framing them as a Texas Tech type team. But I guess they are. But they're disgusting to watch. You can't bring in Marcus Carr and Andrew Jones still on the team, and then your number one point per game scorer is averaging 11. I mean, that's bad years. Both of them had terrible years.
I don't know. And Marcus Carr actually played relatively well at the end of the season for Marcus Carr. And, I think Tyrese Hunter is good. He was like I don't know, he might have been like one of the top 5 transfer once he entered the portal.
I see that.
I mean, he's literally Marcus Carr, like Big 12 version, in my opinion. Like he's a high usage guard on a bad team, or not a bad team, but not a great team. I mean, I know they made the tournament. Minnesota, I think, made the tournament 1 year with Marcus Carr. Like, I just don't think those two work well together. Could be wrong. Would happily admit that I'm wrong if it happens, but I don't know. I just don't see that working out. They actually have 2 really high rated freshmen. So it's gonna be a little bit different than last year.
They do. Arterio Morris is awesome. He's like, I think they could be very good. Like, I think those freshmen
Really
could
good.
be all right.
But again, I
want to read you Tyrese
is
Hunter's stats from last year. If you wanted to improve the offense in the backcourt,
yeah,
I'm gonna read you
Let's hear.
his stats. He averaged 11 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
He was a freshman. 11 points a game. 5 assists, which is really good. You got to take the assists in college basketball. It's weird how 5 assists is good. Like,
it's fine.
Yeah. Like 7's
his
a ton.
usage rate. If his usage rate was super high, it's okay.
This is when it gets bad. 39% from the field as a point guard. 27% from 3. 68% from the free throw line.
You get the turnovers?
4.9 assists, 3.2 turnovers.
He's Marcus Carr. He's literally Marcus Carr. And I am like, they are the same player to a certain degree. They weigh the same, and he's 6 foot and Marcus Carr 6'2". Like, they are the same player. They needed a true point guard last year. They didn't have it. Timmy Allen is like a scorer off the wing, not a good shooter, but a scorer.
Yeah, no, he's a slasher.
Needs someone to get him in his spots.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have that guy, I don't think. Now he's playing with not 1 but 2 ball dominant guards. That Like I just don't like the makeup of the team. But
It's
again, there's some
gross.
unknowns. Like I who knows what Arterio Morris is going to be or Dylan Mitchell. Like both of those dudes could be really good,
Yeah.
but I don't know how they're going to be
They won't
because
have the chance to, I don't think.
they're
They
not
like
going to have the ball.
yeah, no, and what are they gonna do with Dylan DeSue? Like do they still have him? Like do they still have
Yeah,
Christian Bishop? Do
he's
they
still on
still
the
have
roster. They still have Christian Bishop and they still have Dylan DeSue. So again, like they need the first thing they need to do is identify the pecking order
they
of
don't have one.
who's the guy, who's the second guy, who's handling the ball. I mean, if you want to do this, an NBA like reference to this is like the Kyle Lowry, Fred Van Fleet, like two undersized guards playing off of each other. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Lowry's probably more of a true point guard than either one of these two guys in that situation, but both of those dudes could score if they had to. Both could play off the ball. I don't think either one of these guys can,
One
and
thing
that's the whole issue with this.
one thing I said something bad about Tyrese Hunter. I'll say something good. His stats are to end the season. I'm saying starting from the Big 12 championship. Okay, how about this?
Mm-hmm.
Or Big 12 tournament. I don't know if this is necessarily the championship. Let's start in a game against Baylor. I want to read you these stats because they're interesting. I won't say they're necessarily positive or negative. 3 points, 3 turnovers, 13 assists. 13 assists. It's weird. It's a weird stat line, but 13 assists. They lost the game. 9 points, 2 assists, 7 turnovers against Texas Tech. Okay.
Yikes.
Okay. 23 points, 3 assists, 5 steals in the first round. Okay.
He's again.
He's everywhere,
He's
dude.
Marcus Carr. He's so up and down, and this is what happens when you have high usage players. I mean, it's bound to happen when you have the ball that much that you're up, you have a game, and then if you have a bad game and you're handling the ball a lot, you have a bad. It's gonna look terrible. So I don't know, man. I don't think they should be 12, but
He did go
I don't
7
know.
for 11 from 3 in that
He
LSU
did. He had
game.
like that huge game, and everyone was like, "Holy crap, he's really good." Then he entered the portal, and everybody lost their mind.
Yeah.
I just 12. I don't know. Seems high to me.
I
I
think it's
could
high.
see top 20.
Mm.
I could see top 20. Wow. Virginia being in the top 20, that's
Let's talk about them.
bad. Like Texas is better than them, but 12 seems high for Texas.
So I was talking to my roommate Drew. This is his first mention on the podcast. Shout out Drew. He told me that he thinks that college basketball, the talent level this year, is a lot worse than it was last year. The more I think about it, the more we run through these teams. Maybe it's just the teams we're picking. I'm starting to agree. I'm looking at these teams. I don't think they're all that good. There's some, you pick out your TCUs for me. I think Auburn could potentially be better, but their guards they're erratic, so no. I think Tennessee could possibly be good. But then obviously your Indiana Hoosiers. There you go. But Virginia, dude, they're top 5 Kempom. Did you see that?
What?
Dude, I want to
all they did was add. I mean, they got some good freshman guards. McNeely's a good freshman guard.
Yeah, they're
Could be
number
like
5 in Kempom.
Like could be the next Kyle Guy or whatever. I think he's pretty good, but all they did was add Vanderplas in the portal, and that like they're the same team. They've got Armon, they've got Kie Clark, it's Gardner. I mean, it's maddening. This team couldn't score 45 points, and they're in the top 20. Like that, I think you're onto something. Maybe it's everybody's down. Like again, Indiana being at 13, like should they be at 13? I don't know. It's when you look at the teams that are around them, maybe because I mean they have quote unquote talent, but like it's hard to justify them not being there because when you look at Texas, it's right about. We just talked about how bad Texas is as a roster. Like, how could Indiana is the same way? The roster structure might not be great, but they have talent, so that's why they're there. If Virginia's 18, I mean, this could be an ugly year.
which I think is a BS ranking. Like I'm not saying everybody's bad, but like I mean I get it kind of from a stance of internal
This is
improvement,
the internal we talked
but
about.
it's
This is
us.
this is the big year. It's the big year of internal improvement for some of these teams that
I'm
are
gonna
ranked
start
really high.
making hoodies that say internal improvement with a big circle slash and start selling them, dude.
We should.
Because it's just like everybody overvalues that. And I think
Like Illinois is better than Virginia. No?
Illinois is 1,000 times better than, like, if Illinois and Virginia got on a basketball court, I know it would be low scoring, but Illinois would still find a way to win by 57 points. Dude,
I
Virginia
think
is
I
not going to
think
be good enough for the tournament this year, let alone the top
A&M
25.
is A&M is like better than like I
And then would run Virginia off the court, dude. It's not even close. Not even close.
yeah, I don't know, man. That's just that is again blind resume, another example of if it's not Virginia, if it's not Tony Bennett, that team is not maybe even in the top 35.
I just don't get it because they haven't been good since. I guess that was only. I act like that was forever ago. But I guess they were good when they were a 4 seed and they lost to Ohio in the first round. I didn't. I thought that team was bad too. Like I straight up
Oh
was like,
yeah.
oh, that team's terrible. And
Yeah.
everybody picked Ohio for good reason. Like this team is not good. Virginia hasn't been good in a long time. They haven't been good since. I I keep saying that and then remembering that they won a national title like 3 years ago. But even then, they didn't.
Like
They
they
had
were good
Kyle
that year.
Guy.
I mean,
Yeah,
they were good that year. I mean,
and they the year before that, what happened?
yeah, I mean, they had legitimate like they had good players that year though. Like
Yeah.
Kyle Guy and Ty Jerome were good and could score the basketball. They
Are
had
they still
DeAndre
in the
Hunter.
NBA?
I think Jerome is. Kyle Guy was actually with the Heat
DeAndre
last year for
Hunter,
a little bit.
he's an NBA
Hunter
player.
is.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hunter's got like a 4 year, $100 million extension. Like he's good. Like he's actually a good player.
Mm-hmm.
Again, even that year they won though. They got lucky. They shouldn't even have beaten Purdue.
They should have beaten Auburn either.
No, like I mean they got break after break. So Virginia is one of those teams that I think their program as a whole is looked at.
Did we just expose
As,
Virginia accidentally?
I think they've exposed themselves as being frauds after they won that year.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're the good story. And I mean, the team, it's amazing if you think about it. A team going from losing to the 16 seed in the first round to winning a national, like the storyline on them. Think if they don't win the national, like they are a laughing stock of college basketball. Like
Does
Tony
Tony
Bennett might
Bennett
not
have a
even,
job? I'm sure. Maybe. I
I
guess.
think
But like,
so. That's like a Matt Painter like Purdue situation. Like
yeah.
they're never going to get fired, but that you could justify them getting fired.
Okay, so let's go through their. I kind of want to look at their schedule a little bit. So, the two. I think they might like. I'm seriously so low on this team, and I know how Virginia works. I know. I think it was last year they lost to San Francisco, or maybe the year before they lost to San Francisco in like second or third game of the season. Like they'll lose a bad one. They might lose to UNI. Like they go in North Carolina Central, Monmouth, UNI might lose. They play Baylor in Vegas. That won't even be fun to watch. They play either UCLA or Illinois in Vegas as a part
They'll
of the
lose both of
tournament.
those games.
They would lose both of those games at Michigan for the ACC Big Ten. They might have a chance in that game, maybe, but
Against
since it's
who?
at Michigan, probably not.
Mm.
Versus Florida State,
No one. They have no one for Dickinson. I don't think.
no. No, do they still have that guy who was who was hooping for them? Oh my gosh. When they played who was that guy that was absolutely hooping for them when they beat Duke last year? They're big. Who am I thinking of?
This team that we're talking about right now They lost to Navy last year. Navy and James Madison.
Oh, they got to run it back with James Madison this year. That's on their schedule.
Like that's going to be like a revenge game for him, probably. I mean,
I mean,
oof.
they might not. No, they're not making the tournament. I've convinced myself that Virginia will not be in this year's NCAA tournament.
Like the only way they make it is because the ACC is that bad.
No, they're what they're gonna do is this is the only way they make it. They're gonna definitely have double digit losses by the end of the year, probably 12 to 13. But what's gonna happen is they're gonna sweep Duke and they're gonna win one against UNC. So they're
I
in.
mean, the ACC is probably getting at most 5 teams in, right? Like that's it. Like the
I can't
locks
imagine
are
they get more than that. Yeah,
like UNC and Duke are the locks. If you have Virginia in, I think Miami's in.
I think
I
Miami's
think
in.
they're Miami's going to get in. Notre Dame is like the fifth, and I don't think they're good. They're not going to be good this year either.
I mean, but
So
then you look at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech might get in.
they could
They
be
might
those.
sneak in.
The Notre Dame, Virginia Tech are the other two.
Hmm.
So like they're maybe going to get five. Like this conference is bad, man. And I know everyone's like, well, they were bad last year, and then they did really good in the turn. Like, fine, whatever. As a whole, the conference is not good, and then Virginia's going to rack up wins against these bad teams, and that's how they'll get in.
I
They might
don't
not
know
be
if
in the
they
top
will. No, I
25.
think they'll lose to the bad teams and they'll beat the good ones. Like I think it's one of those teams, and that's how they're gonna have like 14 losses, and they're gonna get in
It happened last year. They
off
beat
beating
some good
Duke.
teams. I mean, they just had four. I don't think they have 14 losses.
They didn't get in.
I know what I'm saying. They didn't get in.
Yeah.
So I think that could very well happen again this year.
Okay. Let's talk. All right. I'm done with this. I'm done with the top 25. I want to talk about the Big Ten for a second because I've been on a take. We can talk about IU. True. Whatever. But I have it. I want to be ahead of this before it happens again to us, and we're gonna be pissed. What team is going to surprise us? Because this conference sucks right now. When I look at this conference, it sucks. It's gross when I look at it. But what team is going to surprise us and what player is going to jump out? I have one. It's
Okay.
lazy. I think Tyler Wall might be like
Oh
Big Ten,
God.
like one of the Big Ten first team in Wisconsin is going to be
Oh
awesome.
no.
I don't think he's
Oh
good.
no.
I didn't think he was good last year. But
No.
I didn't think Johnny Davis
No.
was good the year prior either.
No. Can't.
Somebody will, Connor. I want to
Cannot
get
be
out in
him.
front of this, and you're the Big Ten guy. Like, I can be wrong, sure. But somebody that we have no idea is going to come out and play as good as they are. I think Chris Murray is too obvious. I don't think he's going to be it. So, what's the answer? I need it.
As far as a team,
Team and the player that makes them good. Because it's always just one player on these teams. It's Keegan Murray.
keep running
It was
through.
Johnny
Give me a
Davis.
second here. Keep running through
Some candidates. God.
some teams that aren't it.
That aren't it? Okay, let me look at this Big Ten real quick.
You're good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I've got the team.
You found it already?
Oh yeah.
Then that it's probably too obvious. All right, is it? I don't think it's Maryland.
No.
I don't think it's gonna be Nebraska.
No.
It's not Northwestern. It's not Minnesota. Do you think it's Northwestern? Is it Minnesota? Rutgers? Is Rutgers back?
No.
Penn State? You are high on Penn State. I knew it. All right, there we go. Yep, I forgot you were high on Penn State. Okay. Transfers.
I think
It's one of the transfers?
could be. I think Jalen Pickett's really good.
Okay.
But they're returning a lot of guys from last year. Miles Dredd gets buckets. Seth Lundy is really good. I don't know, man. I think Micah Shrewsbury is a really good coach. I think Purdue should fire Matt Painter immediately and hire Micah Shrewsbury. They won't, but they should.
Does he have
I
Purdue
think he's
ties,
really good.
or
Huh?
is it just is this just Matt Painter hate talk, or is there like
No,
Purdue ties?
he's a former Matt Painter
Okay.
assistant. Was at Purdue, went to Boston with Brad Stevens. Now he's back at Penn State. I think Purdue should fire Matt Painter immediately and hire this guy. They won't, but again, I don't know if it's going to be a player that necessarily sticks out. I think they kind of.
It's not going to be the team. If it was the team, we would have known. Like the most likely scenario is one player is a lot better than we thought he was, and not the whole team is a lot better.
I
Than we
think their
thought.
whole team as a collective is going to be good. They're not going
Okay.
to finish dead last in the Big Ten like they did this past year or whatever, second to last. Can't
I
remember if they were
mean,
last or
like,
second to last.
there's going to be a team that has like a Wisconsin type surprise.
I don't think so. I don't think it's happening this year.
It's
Michigan
happened.
State, maybe.
It's happened a couple years in a row. It might be Michigan
Could be
State.
Michigan
I think
State.
it
Let
is
me
with
look in-
AJ Hogard. You think it's AJ Hogard?
It could be, but he kind of had a coming out party last year. I think a lot of people were like, "Who is this guy? Who is this guy?" And they turned out to be pretty good. It could be him. Malik Hall is a guy that if he gets more run, could be good.
Yeah.
Um,
This is gonna sound dumb, and I should know this. Michigan State made the tournament last year, right?
yes, I think they did.
I didn't think they were that
pretty
bad.
average. They had a pretty average season last year, so I don't.
Did they get in as like a 10? I don't want to know. I don't want to make fans mad. I have no idea.
Let me. I got you right here.
No, I think it could be Michigan State. That makes sense. Okay.
Wait, no. Yeah, they did. Yes, dude, they almost beat Duke.
That's correct. Yeah, no, yeah. You're right. They were 7 seed, 10 seed, maybe.
7. Yeah, I don't know. I again never gonna discount Tom Izzo.
They beat Davidson. Sorry.
I had said that.
I didn't hear you.
Oh my God. I am so sorry. I have to interrupt this college basketball podcast.
If this has anything to do with the NBA.
Christian McCaffrey just got traded to the 49ers.
Huh? Wait. This is emergency. We don't talk about NFL, but this is. So, everybody, if you're
As
listening.
sports fans, this is an emergency.
Get your 49ers Super Bowl bets in.
Wow.
Get your Niners Super Bowl bets in. Honestly, that's a waste of a trade for the Niners. Well, it depends on the capital they gave up. But the Niners just let any running back on earth, and I'm so happy to talk football to an audience that will listen. The Niners can make any running back on earth look like a Pro Bowler. And they just probably wasted a ton of capital to bring in a guy who can do that on his own, sure, but...
That's crazy.
I mean, they're electric.
Yeah.
Thought he was going to the Bills. I would have really liked him.
I think we should just end the podcast right now.
Yeah.
Talk about Indiana. We could save that for another day.
We'll end up talking about Indiana at some point. All right, cool. All right, thank you guys for listening. We will have. I think we should do something fun next episode. You want to make our own rankings? Let's do our own rankings. Yeah. F the AP top 25. Who cares? Let's do our own hot and cold rankings. I'll compile We'll even make it advanced as hell. We'll have me doing some homework. I'll make it with me, Bryson, and Connor's opinions and stats. How about that? That go with you?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I hope you guys are as ready for college basketball as we are. So I got the streaming software ready to go. So we will be doing college basketball streams this season. We're going to have to figure out a schedule for that because we are busy. But me and Connor will definitely figure that out. We'll even get Bryson involved in this as well. But again, yeah, we can't wait for the season. I hope you guys enjoy and love you guys.
I am in just. I can't believe